All right, guys. So this is Core. It is a fairly new um, game development platform that is built on top of Unreal, and I'll get into some of the drawbacks of this first, and then we'll get into what all the cool stuff that this can actually do. Um, the biggest drawback for this is that everything is actually um, bound to Core and the Core client. You can't actually make a game, export it, and put it up on itch or Steam or anything like that. Everything is in the client, um, top to bottom, beginning to end. The other big drawback of this is that you can't import your own models or textures, or audio for that matter. Um, Everything that you have to build with is in the client, and it's downloaded and installed when you install the client. So that means it's actually quicker to load and hop between all these different games. But it also means that you're kind of stuck with what they've given you. So people have done some real creative stuff, but you are limited to what they've given you here. The first thing that you see when you first launch the client is the is this. This is the browse games. So you can hear this just launched in open alpha back in March, I believe. So it's only been 6 or 7 months that it's been open. Um, but it's as you can see, there's a whole lot of games that you can browse through. These are the most active games right now, and they kind of run the gamut here. Um, Core was created by Manticore Games, and you can see that they've made some games already for you here, which are also kind of demos of what the system can do. This is your collection of avatars that you can buy through their shop. As you can tell, it's really Fortnite inspired. You have your characters, you have mounts, and you have emotes. Yeah. The shop, this just went live last month. Um, you've got your founder packs, 40, 80, and 100. Um, to get a little context here on what all you can actually buy, you buy actual credits, which are $10 for 1,000. You can do the math on how that all works out. Your basic avatars will be 800 credits or $8, and your super cool ones will be 2,000 credits or about $20. This featured list rotates out weekly, I believe, and it might be daily. And the head, torso, and pants are all interchangeable. So once you buy one of these, you can swap out the heads to any of your other characters that you already have. The fantasy bundles. This one is new. I think this swaps out monthly. I think last month had a sci-fi bundle, and these are just extra cool emotes and avatars and whatnot. And then there's the bundles, which are like kind of your light side and dark side bundles for $60. which is not a half bad deal. But the main thing you're here for is how to create stuff. So when you first create a new project, they give you some templates to start with. It'll be an empty scene. They give you these frameworks, um, which are just basically game modes, game types. They have a D&D contest going on right now with partnered with Wizards of the Coast. Um, that to create a dungeon, I think it lasted for a month or two, and they are judging those at PAX Online. That's going on next week. The Acquisition Inc. team is going to be basically judging the different user submissions here. Um, yeah, yeah, and we'll go into this a little bit here. It's really cool how they have this set up. So yeah, the different game types. You have your deathmatch, team deathmatch, last man standing, battle royale, all your standard kind of game modes that you would expect in a game. Uh, so this is being Unreal. It is kind of biased towards your first person shooter type games. You can do uh, orthographic camera, so you can kind of fake a 2D game. Someone made 2048, which is kind of impressive. And here's your resources. This is going to be where you live in your first few days with this thing. So there's the Core Academy, which is kind of their tutorials. They do a bunch of live streams like every, I think, Tuesday and Thursday. Uh, you'll also have their Discord, and they have some forums as well. The other cool thing is community projects. These are templates that users have made, and also Manticore themselves have kind of open source to their games. So you can download any of these games and edit them and do whatever you want with them and re-upload them, which is super cool. And there's a lot of stuff here. So we'll hop into the editor here. And for those of y'all that are coming from a Unity background, a lot of this is kind of familiar. You have your hierarchy here, which is everything that lives in your scene. You have your project view, which contains all the assets that you've imported into your project. And you also have these are your different content windows. You have your event view, which is your console. You have your properties, which is just your inspector, which gives you, your standard stuff, transform, scene information, your colliders and whatnot are done over here as well. In the core content, here is this is the community content. So here, your core content is actually all of the different uh, prefabs that Core gives you to actually work with here. And you have quite a bit to actually work with. But again, this is all you have to work with. So you're basically going to be, kit bashing uh, all these different pieces together to create whatever you want. And is yeah, what's up? No, they do add new kits periodically. Like they most recently added a sci-fi kit, but it's all free. So they're not actually selling that. The only thing that you actually spend money on is those core credits. Um, so it's all going to be cosmetics and stuff that you actually buy. They do not. I believe they make all the pieces themselves, and then they will give you the pieces to work with. As far as like monetizing goes, right now everything is free for the games that you put out and your templates and whatnot. In the future, they are going towards a more of a Twitch model where you'll have creators that you can sub to, and also that you can actually tip directly. And there'll also be kind of a bits type system. They'll also do a payout program that they're piloting right now that is going to be based off of the daily average user over a month. I think it's like $3 per user, average out over a month. So that will be interesting to see how that goes. Right now, games are kind of in the 1,000 user mark uh, daily that I've been seeing. That's like the top game so far. But we'll see. They're not doing Roblox numbers just yet. You do have animated meshes that they kind of have given you. There's dragon, fox, raptor, skeleton, and a couple of humanoid models. These also do have animations built into them as well. I believe there's for the human, I think we can actually see the actual animations here. We might not, but there's probably about. Can we see them? We can. You might not be able to see very well on the screen there, but you've got one-handed melee, one-handed pistol. You've got some idle animations, two-handed melee, two-handed idle, unarmed idle. You have a punch and kick, and some other dances and stuff. So it's not a whole lot at all. I'm hoping that that's one of the things that they actually flesh out a bit more there. The audio, there's a crap ton of audio here, but again, this is kind of what you have to work with. You can't actually import your own music or sound effects. The decals, I think, is probably where you can get a bit more creative with your actual models, and those are just regular decals that you can just slap on models. But like these are triangles, so you can color those. They do have material properties and whatnot. And speaking of the materials, um, there is a set number of materials as well, and the materials also have shaders as well. So you have things like distortion and emission glow and all of that. They also have what's called smart materials. I'm not sure if this is a thing in base Unreal or not, but smart materials basically map your UVs to world space instead of local object space. I'll show you what that means here. We can just drop a cube or cone or whatever in here. So you can see our cone here is kind of you can see the material is shifting where I move it in space, and that's part of the smart material. And you can turn it off to make it local again. So that's cool for when you're, kit bashing stuff together. You don't have to. You can put a single texture on all of them, and they just kind of will blend together seamlessly. So you don't have to worry about tiling and UV spaces and all that stuff. The effects, you don't have nearly as many effects, but you do have some control over it. See if we can throw in level up. So for the particle system, you do have color, spiral, you have some ground element here, which is the spark that's on the ground. You do have emissive, your lifetime, the velocity, and the rest of this is just like if it's in local space or world space. Uh, there's a couple of other elements that you can enable and disable, but it's not a whole lot of control that you actually have. The control comes in mixing and mixing and matching the different effects at the same time, which you can do some fairly impressive things with this and the other materials. I'll hop into their they have a special effects showcase level that you can look at and see how they did some cool stuff. The other thing is post-processing. This is just your kind of generic post-processing effects here. You've got your bloom, chromatic aberration, depth of field, lens flares. You've got some radial blur here, vignette. All you do is just drop these in, and I think they have a volume. So when your character goes into said volume, that's when the post-processing effect takes into effect. I think you can actually just unbound it so it takes the whole actual screen. You do have UI here. That's UI sound effects. There it is, UI. You have sky domes, so we can drop in different sky domes for pretty easily. And these are the different UI textures. I haven't found a way to change the font of text. Uh, I'm not sure if I just missed that or not, but that's a pretty big omission there. And finally, the scripting is all done in Lua, which their text editor is super bare bones. Um, but you can switch it to your own. I have it opening in VS Code here. So in Lua here, your functions can be tied to events, and they have built-in events that you have. This is using on-player joined and on-player left. So if you want to force the players into give them like extra abilities that they don't automatically have, you can do that like when they join. You can disable different abilities like when you by default all characters have a mount that they can just press. I can show you here, and I think it's oh god, I don't remember the mount button. Yeah. Oh god. Okay. I don't remember the mount button. I'll find out in a second. But you can disable mounts when they join. Also, another thing is that you actually don't have control over the player's avatar when they join your game. The avatar that you set up for your account is the one that you have throughout all games. It's persistent between everything in core, which is super cool, but also kind of limiting. What people have been doing is you can create like different armor sets for characters. So all characters have slots that you can put different game objects on. So you kind of layer things on top of the player avatar to create different outfits and stuff. So here, this dude I got is right now he can really just run around and jump. This is all automatic for you, uh, and that's all the abilities I have right now. If I pick up this green gem, I get the ability to wave. So abilities can be tied to different objects. They can also just be granted like on join through that on join script I had earlier. But abilities are specific to the game. This flaming uh, staff thing I got also has an ability to fly, and this is just a call to. There's a player class that you just call player dot like enable flying or something like that. There's also swimming and a mount button that I can try. Well, yeah, there's our emote there. And collision is kind of built in too for all the objects. I can't actually damage that dude. interactions are done through triggers. Uh, when you create a trigger, see if I can show you here on the chest. Networking is also built-in automatic. I can actually drop the, we can drop it in the chat here. When you publish a game, you have to give it a name, a summary, some tags, a couple of screenshots, and permissions. So I have this open to editing, and it's currently unlisted right now, but that's fine because I don't want Rando showing up here. And we can update. Collaboration is also going to be something that they're going to add some more features into. Um, Currently, about the only way to get a group collaborating onto a single game is through GitHub. You can copy this link here, and I will throw this into the chat if anybody is on it here. We can throw it in Twitch chat and the Google chat. Okay, if anyone's got Core installed, they can just click on that link and play the game. And I'm pretty sure, no, that's in preview mode. But the cool thing here is that even in preview mode, you can simulate a couple of clients. So right now I've got it as, it is really cool. 2 players here, and you just hit play, and it just spins up 2 clients. And boo. Oh no, I think I broke. There we go. I also have, oh man, I should not be doing this and streaming. So right now, characters just ragdoll when they die. I don't know. I got them respawning too. So cool. So this chest here won't open unless I have this key. Yay. The effects are not working. I don't know why that is. And then we close that. And I've got a bunch of errors. Multiple non-unique after the same time found a hierarchy. Huh. So part of the pre-made stuff that they give you are these game settings, and it's just kind of basic, basic settings here, which is like ragdoll on death. Let's see, we can scratch that out a bit. You can enable player storage, which in Unity terms, this is kind of like player prefs. you can you can save things about your player, like the resources that you have, equipment, basically basics game state. You can save to an basically an array uh, that gets saved. I'm actually not sure where it actually gets saved. I think it's on the server side. In the future, they want to do cross game storage, so you can have like resources and items from one game, you can use them in other games, which is something they can only really do when everything is kind of locked to the core client like it is. There's also a profiler here, which is pretty cool when we can disable that. The profiler should show up in its own window somewhere. There we go. So this is something that you'll have to keep in mind here as you're building out your levels. Right now I have this like huge ass terrain. There's a bunch of trees and stuff down there as well that you can't see because they're too far away. I'll show you the terrain bit here in a second. But this gives you a pretty good readout on the performance of your game, uh, which I believe it does a lot of uh, mesh optimization in the background because all of this stuff, like I said, is running on Unreal. So your Lua scripts all get translated into C++, and I'm sure they are doing some mesh merging and stuff on the back end as well. The other things you have is team settings, whether it's free for all or versus. I'm actually not sure what friendly is. Friendly might be co-op. That might be, I think that's new. So in team versus, I believe in the order that you join matches, you get set to one team or the other. Uh, I You should be able to do more than two teams. I haven't actually tested it out. Your team ID is just an integer, so you should be able to have as many teams as you want. Your respawn settings here, uh, you can either respawn in place, round robin, closest spawn point, farthest from other players, farthest from the enemy, or random spawn point. Your spawn point is, I don't have gizmos turned on. So in the editor here, the V key will turn on all the gizmos, which there's a lot of gizmos, so I usually keep it turned off. Like you have your camera, your directional light. This is your spawn point. You can have multiple of them. They have teams, so like I said, you can have team 5 or whatever. That will be for you. I think your default team is 0. I'm not sure. In Lua, your arrays begin at 1, not at 0, like a sane language does. So that's a one of the gotchas. The other thing coming from Unity Land, the Z-axis is up, which always will screw me up. So your X-axis here is forward by default. So I don't know. That might be also in. I think in Blender Z is up as well. So it might be Unity is the weird one, but that is what I'm actually used to. Also in the editor, you can lock and unlock uh, selection here. So I found that I was always selecting the floor by accident. So you can just lock that. You can also unlock or turn the visibility off and on when things start getting too cluttered. You have folders and you also have groups, which folders are just basically empty game objects. But folders don't move. They do. Or is that a? I might have made this a group. But folders didn't affect whatever was in them. I might be wrong about that. Groups will make a every object in its group to be one entity, which is how triggers and colliders are separate. Colliders are actually a component here in the scene. You can't actually alter the collider. All you can do is turn it off and on. And it looks like all colliders are square, but you can change that. Like for these coins here, changing the scale of it will change the actual collider. The triggers are actually separate, like unlike in Unity, where colliders are just checkmarked to be triggers or not. Triggers are a separate actual object that you can change the shape on, so they can be spheres or capsules. The interactable uh, toggle here, this is what makes it so you have to press the F key or whatever you have set as interactable uh, to actually like trigger it. There's also a label. The label is what shows up when you walk up to it. So for here, you can just change it to have it open. You can change that to whatever. And the team is the actual team that can interact with it. I believe 0 is like the everybody can. Oh, I guess you just disable team the collision here. The other objects you have here are under not game objects, gameplay objects. So you have abilities, which I showed on this gem here. It's an actual object, which is, what did I call it? Wave power up. So your abilities are kind of the, I would call them the inputs of your game. So whether it's left mouse button or right mouse button or any of the keyboard keys, those all of those actions will be abilities here, and your abilities will trigger an animation, and they also will in your cast here. The abilities have different stages that all have events tied to them that you can trigger through your scripts. So right now, all this is doing, this ability, all it does is it plays the unarmed wave. And you can change this to be whatever you want. It's just a string. Um, you can, um, any of these will actually do the thing. The action binding is the actual key that this is tied to. So you have your primary and secondary ability, which is left click and right click. Your ability 1 and 2, I believe, is default to Q and E. And I think ultimate is R, and ability feat is like your sprint, which is shift. And then you have a bunch of these, 64 of them to be exact. Uh, that you can edit in one of these settings. I think it's actually just in settings. Yeah. So these bindings here are all of your local settings. So you can change all of these, and this doesn't affect the actual players who join your game. Theirs will be set to whatever they set to, so you can't force like different bindings. And oh, there's the mount. Mount is G, and it's a pet button. I didn't realize that. I don't know what that does. Let's find out. So yeah, this is the mount, and this is just by default. So whatever whatever game you have, if you don't want people hoverboarding around, you can actually change that, and you can block them from mounting. There is there's a player can mount uh, rule that you can set in your script. And I've got some camera effect here that's really tripping me out right now. Oh no. Okay, so another good thing, the keyboard shortcuts, a lot like Unity, there is a focus ability. So if you highlight something in your scene, just press F, it focuses right to it. The UI elements, there is a UI editor mode here. Well, I guess I should go over the different modes here. So like Unity, there is you have your different modes, your translation mode, your rotation, your scale. You also have a group mode, which I keep forgetting about. There's group and object. So when you're set to object, if I select a piece here and go into translate here, this will just move the tip, which is normally not what you want, like ever. You also have your Control Z to undo, which is nice. In group mode, that might actually be broken. You're supposed to go into group mode. It's supposed to, when you select an object, it selects the entire thing like that, which is what it's supposed to do, you would think. So also for the networking stuff, which is arguably the coolest thing they've got here, networking is done by default. So when you create an object, you need to uh, enable networking when some objects are networked by default. So if you were to go into your objects here and throw in a whatever, this treasure chest. This chest is not networked by default. It is just going to be sitting in the scene, and you can't interact with it or move it or anything like that. If you right click on it and enable networking, now this will get, if you move it or whatever, it will replicate through the server and to the other clients. For things like effects and whatnot, that needs to be in what they call a client context, which might be why my network treasure chest was not working, because it was not in a client context. But the not in there. Where is the staff? So for the staff here, the client context is basically the artwork. So the model, the different pieces that this thing is actually uh, made up of, which this is actually part of the fantasy kit they released a few months back. So you have a staff guard, pommel, there's some sword bits, and a staff head. And I just changed the material color to make it red because it's fire. This is client context, so uh, if I were to change the color of this for whatever reason, that would not get replicated out to the server, just my local client. But the server context, I have a couple of scripts here that change the here when I right click, it will change my walk speed and my damage done. And because it's changing something that needs to be shown to other users, then that needs to be a server context, and so that's going to be out to the server, and the other players will see me slow down and actually take my aim stance. There's also a damage script here, so when I take that aim stance, um, actually no, this is just for headshot damage. So your damage here, if it hits a headshot, will, I think it just does like double damage or something like that. I forgot what I said it as. But this is a or server context because the other player needs to know that I hit a critical hit on them. The client context also has our aim script here. This just changes your camera when you right click. So it will zoom in a little bit, and I think it slows down sensitivity. But since this is only affecting my camera and not anyone else's, it's going to has to be a client context. Okay. So this terrain is actually the largest terrain that I could create. I just wanted to see how large it actually is. And I'll just delete it here. No, I locked it. Delete. And I'll delete this camera effect because it's weirded me out. So to create a terrain here, you just hit the terrain creator, and you can either import it from a height map or to generate a new one. And they have certain predefines here. You can just make it flat or rocky, or there's ravines or whatever. Um, and there is a voxel size, terrain size, and I think it multiplies them together to get the actual terrain size. Then there's also different different lengths here and different parameters for the different like noise patterns and whatnot. We can just do, I don't know what the heck does that do? And we'll make it pretty small. Uh, I do not know. You probably can. You sh you should be able to, actually. I don't know if that's a runtime or not. Oops. There we go. We were inside it the whole time. So I haven't seen anyone actually do a full game on this. Let's move our spawn point to it and see what happens. But you have your different sculpting. Uh, you have your fall offs, tool, surface, smooth, flattening. I don't think you have actual brushes per se. Yeah, you've got shapes. So yeah, you can actually you can actually make little brushes here. So that's cool. Not what I wanted to do though. My terrain. Let's move here. We are running out of time. Where's my spawn point? Yoink. And we'll put it on top because I don't know how gravity will work here. So, yep, it does not do gravity. All right. So, last thing we'll kind of cover here is the community content, and this is basically the asset store. This is people that have created templates, which templates are just kind of your prefabs. If I were to make this treasure chest a template, I can create a new template. I can call it whatever. Treasure chest new, and then you can publish said template somehow. I think you just yeah, over here in your little side view, this is all of the templates that I've made. Just click on it, publish it. Sure. And just like publishing a game, you give it a name, summary, some tags, screenshots, and if you make it public, uh, it'll show up here in the content uh, thing for other people to grab and remix and upload into their own games. And here is where people have made some like really cool stuff. Like there is a AI kit that basically just makes like NPCs that have there's like a nav mesh and different uh, like AI like for patrolling and attacking. Not quite behavior trees or state machines for that matter. Um, but it's cool what they were able to do. The other really cool thing I'll show you here. We'll back out. Is in their frameworks here for DMD. Let's call this MGD, and we'll do that. So this is like the main template they have for your D&D dungeon here. These portals here uh, will just teleport you to these different dungeons. I think this one just teleports you through to these different hallways. But this teleporter here actually teleports you to a totally separate game. And I'm not quite entirely sure how it actually does it. Destination games. I think it's just by a string. Oh wow, they just have a function transfer to game. So this is one of the things that you could only do uh, as core is all integrated into the same client. What you do is give it the name of a different game and it will just teleport you over to that. So this is something that you could do if you're doing like instance dungeons and whatnot. So if you have another person working on like different zones for an MMO, you could uh, do like zones that way. Uh, the only real problem with that is that the uh, player storage information doesn't cross over just yet. So for like your items and stuff like that would have to be duplicated uh, for each zone that you go into. So things like your player level and experience points and stuff like that right now won't carry over. but they say in the very near future uh, they will have all of that. And that is just about everything. Do you guys have any questions or anything like that for me? This is not quite Roblox levels yet, but Roblox has had 15 years to build up their player base, and there are different assets as well. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what the persistent storage is here in the game settings. Where's the properties? So here in oh, they have theirs turned off. Oh, there it is. Player storage here. Uh, this is maintained. It's basically a dictionary key value pair that gets persisted throughout your different game sessions. So you can just give them equipment IDs or like gold levels, experience. Just save it as with a key of gold or level or inventory, and then give it. I am actually not sure where this is actually stored. The documentation didn't actually say where this was, unless I missed it somewhere. Let's see, because I think it's on the server, because that would be bad if it was stored locally somewhere. Core API. Yeah, yeah, that's no bueno. Oh, wow, wow, that's bad. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. That is for the yeah, like all of this stuff here. For right now, this is what it is. It's like these avatars, dances, mounts. Uh, these wolves are mounts that you can hop on and do your emotes. Eventually, they said that you will be able to, like I said, sub to different creators. So if you like what Kurt here is doing with Mining Magnate, you can toss him some coins, and I'm assuming eventually you'll be able to cash them out or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Right now, they're pretty adamant about they don't want gameplay stuff to be purchased right now. They want it to be completely free to play and completely free to create. So they're just really trying to like lower the barriers to entry right now. But I'm sure in the future there will be stuff that you can throw your money at. All right. Yeah, I'm going to definitely keep an eye on it. In the near future, I won't be able to put too much time into it, but I will definitely be. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's real cool. Yeah. I mean, if you look at Fortnite, that's 90% of the game is just trying to outdo everyone with how crazy your avatar can get. Yeah. All right, guys. Yep. Have a good night. All right. I, oh yeah, I guess. I completely forgot about that. But yes, we are sponsored by. Yeah, yeah. For posterity, if you guys are in the Tennessee area, createtn.com is an excellent resource to find other creatives in your area. So next month, I think I'm going to talk about DAZ 3D because I want to use that for my Oculus project. Morph 3D like spun off from DAZ 3D, but DAZ 3D is still very much a thing. Um, but yeah, I'll get more into that. It's like a kind of a character uh, animator, creator, uh, scene renderer type thing, and yeah, it's really pretty cool. So yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, we got a lot of folks. Yeah, we had a lot of folks RSVP in the meetup that just our usual show up here online. But yeah, if we were in person, we probably have a lot more folks. But yeah, so this will be up on Twitch VODs and YouTube, and I don't know if Facebook saves these or not, um, but it'll all be there as well. So awesome. All right. All right. All right. Thanks a lot. Yep.